Hello, my name's Emily. I'm 35 years old. I recently came into a bit of a fortune that originally wasn't supposed to be mine, and it only happened because my sister-in-law was an ableist jerk. Yeah, I know, I sound way too happy that someone lost a lot of money, but allow me to tell you the entire story. Let me begin by telling you about my husband, Jason, and I. We met in college. He sat next to me in our art class, and we quickly became friends. He always made me laugh with his jokes, and I admired how kind he was to everyone. After a year of being friends, Jason asked me out on a date. Jason was so sweet and made me feel comfortable that I simply couldn't say no when he asked me out on another date. From then on, we started dating. Now, one thing about Jason is that he is very close to his family. And no, this isn't going to become one of those horror movies where the family is a little weird. His parents, Helen and Robert, were great people. When Jason first introduced me to his parents, Robert and Helen, they welcomed me with open arms. They were so kind and made me feel like part of the family right away. Since Jason lived with his parents while he attended college, I got to spend a lot of time with his family. Helen would always ask about my day and was interested in everything I did. Robert loved to tell funny stories and made sure I felt comfortable. The only person who did not like me was Jason's sister, Sarah. From the moment Jason and I started dating in college, Sarah made it clear that she didn't like me. She was always friendly on the surface, but I could sense her jealousy simmering underneath. Sarah was used to being the center of attention in her family, and she didn't like sharing that spotlight with anyone, especially not me. She would make rude comments, but always say them as if they were harmless quips, which made me very uncomfortable. Jason was always there to stand up for me, and that made Sarah like me even less. Even so, over time, his family became my family. A few years later, after we'd long graduated and landed ourselves great jobs, Jason proposed to me at our favorite spot in the park under a big oak tree. It was so romantic, and of course I said yes. We got married the next summer, surrounded by our families and friends who cheered for us as we said our vows. Of course, Sarah was not happy about our wedding or the fact that everyone was talking about it, so only 3 weeks later, she decided to get married to her boyfriend of a year. Now, I have nothing against marriage happening between two individuals who've dated for a short while, but I knew that Sarah only did it to get some of the attention back at her. I knew this only because she had a pattern of doing these things. Like, for example, only 3 days after Jason introduced me to his family for the first time, Sarah brought home a boyfriend, even though she had explicitly said that she wanted to take a long break from dating. Whatever I did, she wanted to one-up me. I paid no mind to it because I saw no point in competing with her for nothing. Soon after our wedding, we were overjoyed to find out I was going to have a baby. We were both so excited and started planning for our little one. We decided to wait at least 3 months before revealing my pregnancy to everyone. Once the 3 months were up, we decided to tell everyone about it by throwing a small family get-together. We knew that everyone would be happy for us, and we were right, to a certain extent. You see, during dinner, while everyone was excitedly chatting about me being pregnant, Sarah decided to speak up and say what was on her mind. When we announced we were expecting a baby, Sarah's reaction surprised me. We have some exciting news to share. Jason and I are expecting a baby. What? Oh my God, congratulations, you two. Robert, we're going to be grandparents. Can you believe it? I absolutely cannot. Oh, I'm so happy for the two of you. Are you guys excited to have a child? Oh, absolutely. We're really thrilled to start our family. You guys can't be serious. Why would you decide to have a baby now? Well, we didn't plan to have the baby now, but since I'm pregnant, we figured we'd just go along with it. Anyway, we've been looking forward to starting a family for a long time now. I just don't get it. You two know how busy our family already is. Why add more stress? Stress? Family? What on earth are you talking about? Well, I think it's selfish for you guys to have a baby. You're just trying to get more attention. Did you even think about how this affects the rest of us? We're not trying to get attention. We just want to start our own family. This is a special time for us. Special for you maybe, but now everything's going to be about your baby. What about the rest of the family? I don't think I care about attention from anybody. Yeah, neither do I. A new baby is a blessing. I'll get to finally be a grandmother, and that's much better than having people give me attention. Fine, whatever. I still think it's a bad idea. Sarah, we're not asking for your approval. We're sharing our joy with you because you're family. Don't expect me to be thrilled about it. I just think it's going to cause more problems. We're sorry you feel that way, but the rest of the family seems happy. You know very well that this family is stupid. None of them understand what having attention feels like because they never cared to have any. But Emily, here, has always had it shining on her, so of course she wanted to have her baby now. She simply couldn't let go of the high of all the attention she received at her wedding. I couldn't believe that Sarah considered my pregnancy to be an attack on her. I couldn't wrap my head around why she constantly needed attention. She usually had it anyway because she made sure of it. But would it really have killed her if she didn't have the attention on her for 5 minutes? I stormed off from the dinner table because I did not want to risk saying something really mean. Jason told me after dinner that the dinner was pretty much awkward after I left and everybody cleared out in half an hour. Robert and Helen apologized on Sarah's behalf, and while I appreciated them, I didn't want them to apologize for her. Sarah never said anything to me after that, but she did unsurprisingly get pregnant a few weeks after my announcement. I know, shocker. Anyway, when our son Bryce was born, it was the happiest day of our lives. He was a tiny bundle of joy, and we couldn't wait to see him grow up. Robert and Helen were beyond overjoyed as well, and they spoiled him silly. And if Jason and I tried to get them to stop, they'd tell us that they were simply fulfilling their roles as grandparents. Sarah was way too busy with her pregnancy to visit even once and see her nephew, which in all honesty was a little bit of a blessing. Lord knows that if she had said anything mean to me at that time, I would not have been able to control myself. Sarah gave birth to my niece, Kenzie, a few months later, and she finally visited us. She seemed cordial and mostly happy that everyone was showering her and her baby with love and attention. I didn't mind, and I was actually hopeful for a while that things were going to get better. But then when Bryce was 3 years old, something happened that changed our lives forever. We were driving to visit Helen and Robert for a fun weekend together. It was a sunny day and Bryce was in the back seat, excitedly talking about all the games he wanted to play with his grandparents. Suddenly, another car crashed into ours. It happened so fast, and I remember feeling scared and confused. When everything stopped moving, I turned around to check on Bryce. He was awake but crying, and I could tell he was hurt. He was wedged between the back seat and the front seats and kept slipping in and out of consciousness. Jason was unconscious. I was the only one that was awake, so I quickly dialed 911. Jason and Bryce were rushed to the hospital. The doctors told me that Jason was fine and only suffered a minor whiplash. However, Bryce was not doing so well. The doctors had done their best to help Bryce, but he had hurt his spine in the accident. They told us that Bryce wouldn't be able to walk anymore. It was like a punch in the stomach to hear those words. I felt like my heart shattered into a million pieces. All I could think about was Bryce, our sweet boy who loved running around and playing soccer. How could this happen to him? It didn't seem real. After the accident, Bryce had to stay in hospital for a long time. We visited him every day, bringing his favorite toys and books to keep him company. Jason and I tried to stay strong for Bryce, but it was hard. We had so many questions and worries about how he would live his life with his disability. Over time, we learned how to take care of him at home. We got him a special wheelchair and made our house accessible to him. Bryce was such a brave boy. He never complained about not being able to walk. When it came to our family's reaction to Bryce's situation, Robert and Helen were heartbroken. They loved him so much and wanted to help us in any way they could. Helen would visit us, often bringing meals and helping with Bryce's care. Robert was always there to lend a hand with anything we needed around the house. When Bryce recovered enough, they went right back to treating him the same way they did when he got into the accident, with a lot of love and attention. While Robert and Helen continued to spoil Bryce senselessly, Sarah's attitude towards Bryce broke my heart. She treated him differently, like he was less important because he couldn't walk. At family gatherings, she would ignore him or make insensitive remarks, which hurt both Jason and me deeply. I tried to keep peace for Bryce's sake, but it became harder to ignore Sarah's jealousy and cruelty. As Bryce grew older, Sarah's resentment towards him seemed to deepen. She would compare him to other children and imply that his disability made him less deserving of love and attention. It was painful to witness. But the thing was, Sarah only did this in front of Bryce and me. Those words cut deep because I knew Bryce could hear them, and they made him feel like he was less important. She'd say all these mean things just in mine and Bryce's earshot so nobody else heard her. I had no real way to confront her because every time I tried, she'd ask me if anyone could back my claims up. Of course, I had no one, so I just let it go for the sake of family peace. Sarah would also try to exclude Bryce from activities with other kids. If they were playing a game, she would say things like, "Bryce can't join in, it's too difficult for him," even though we knew he could participate with a little help. It was like she wanted to make him feel left out on purpose. What added even more fuel to the fire was how Sarah blamed me for everything. One time at a family dinner, she told everyone that Bryce's disability was because I wasn't watching him properly. "You know, Emily, if you were a better mother, Bryce wouldn't be in this situation." How does that make any sense? The accident wasn't my fault. We were all in the car together. "You should have been more careful that day. I'm sure you were the one driving, but you're making Jason cover for you so you aren't seen as a horrible mother." "Sarah, that's enough. I was the one who drove the car. The accident wasn't my fault, and neither was it Emily's. We were hit by a drunk driver, and there was nothing she could have done to prevent it." "She must have been yapping your ear off, which must have distracted you. I don't care how many times you refute my theories, but I just know that she's the reason Bryce is disabled now." "Sarah, stop it. Emily and Jason are doing everything they can for Bryce. Blaming Emily is cruel and unfair." "We all know how hard Emily works to take care of Bryce. She loves him and does everything she can to make him happy. It's easy for you to say. You don't have to deal with the consequences every day. Emily should have been more responsible. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking. Emily, you should own up and take responsibility for what you did to Bryce." "But I didn't do anything." "Sarah, none of us think the way you think. The accident was a tragedy and there's nothing more to it." "That's right. We need to focus on helping Bryce and supporting Emily and Jason. Pointing fingers won't help anyone." "Well, I still think Emily could have done more to prevent it." "Sarah, if you can't be supportive, maybe it's best if you keep your opinions to yourself. We're all doing the best we can, and your accusations are not helping." "Emily, we're here for you. We know how much you care for Bryce, and we appreciate everything you do." "Yes, Emily. You are a wonderful mother, and we are proud of you. Don't let Sarah's words bring you down." "Thank you, Robert and Helen, for supporting me. It really means the world to me." "Whatever. I still think you're to blame, Emily." "That's enough, Sarah. Can we change the topic to something lighter?" That was only the first time that Sarah exposed to everyone how she truly felt about Bryce and me. After that, every little thing she had a problem with would turn into an event to blame me or Bryce for it. Even small things turned into big issues with Sarah. If Bryce needed help with something, she would roll her eyes and say, "Why can't he just do it himself?" She didn't understand or care how much effort Bryce put into everything he did. Sarah's actions made family events stressful. We started to avoid gatherings where she would be. But it wasn't fair to Bryce or us. We wanted to be with family, but not if it meant dealing with Sarah's meanness. No matter how hard we tried, Sarah didn't change. After many painful encounters, Jason and I decided it was best to limit our time with Sarah. We didn't want Bryce to feel bad or think less of himself because of her comments. We wanted to surround him with people who loved and supported him. So we avoided going to family gatherings where Sarah would be present, and even if we attended those with her, we made sure to avoid her entirely. However, just because we didn't want to be around Sarah, it didn't mean that we didn't want to be around her daughter, Kenzie. So when we got an invitation to our niece Kenzie's birthday party, we thought carefully about it. Kenzie was innocent in all this, and we didn't want to miss her special day. We hoped that maybe, just for the party, Sarah would be nicer and put aside her feelings. Before the party, I prepared Bryce for what might happen. I told him that we loved him very much and that he should ignore any mean comments from Aunt Sarah. We wanted him to enjoy the party and have fun with his cousins. The party started off well. The kids played games in the backyard and Bryce joined in from his wheelchair. He laughed and had fun, and for a while everything seemed normal. When it was time to eat, everyone gathered around the table. The smell of delicious food filled the air and the kids were excited. Jason and I helped Bryce get settled at the table, making sure he was comfortable. Sarah was in charge of serving the food. She brought out plates for everyone, making a big show of how much effort she'd put into the meal. I thanked her and waited for Bryce's plate. Then Sarah walked over to Bryce with a smirk on her face, carrying a separate bowl. I looked down and saw that it was a bowl of dog food. My face burned with anger and embarrassment. "This suits him better, don't you think?" "You can't be serious. What is wrong with you?" "We've had enough of this. Emily, this is for you." "What is in this envelope, Robert?" "Open it, Emily. You'll understand." "It's money. A lot of money. What is this for?" "Emily, we want you to use this money to hire a lawyer. This is to make sure Sarah pays for what she's done. We're so sorry for all the pain she's caused you and Bryce. She needs to learn that her actions have consequences." "What? You can't be serious. Dad, Mom, this is crazy." "No, Sarah. What's crazy is how you've been treating Bryce and Emily. This cruelty has to stop. We warned you so many times to stop this cruel behavior. You've crossed the line too many times, and this is the final straw. We will not stand by and let you hurt Bryce and Emily any longer." "It was just a joke. You're blowing this out of proportion." "A joke? Giving a child dog food and saying it suits him better? How can you think that's a joke, Sarah?" "He's not a normal kid. He needs special treatment. I was just trying to make a point." "Special treatment doesn't mean degrading him, Sarah. Bryce is a wonderful boy who deserves respect, not your cruel jokes." "You're just too sensitive, Emily. You always have been. You can't handle a little tough love." "This isn't tough love, Sarah. It's bullying. We've warned you so many times, but you never listen." "You're taking her side over your own daughters. You're ruining my life. I need that money for my business. You were supposed to help me get back on my feet, not watch me sink." "We've supported you enough, Sarah. You need to understand that your actions have consequences. This behavior is unacceptable." "What am I supposed to do without that money? I'll lose my shop. Don't you care about that? You saw how hard I worked to build that business from the ground up. You saw how many nights I lost sleep because of it, and you're just going to let it fail over some joke?" "You should have thought about that before you decided to humiliate Bryce. This is your doing, Sarah. You brought this on yourself." Please, Dad, you can't do this. I'm your daughter. You're supposed to help me. We are helping you, Sarah, by making you face the consequences of your actions. Maybe this will make you think twice before discriminating against and hurting others again. I never wanted it to come to this, Sarah. All I ever wanted was for Bryce to be treated with kindness and respect. Why couldn't you do that? You're all against me. I see how it is. Fine. Do whatever you want, but don't expect me to forgive any of you for this. We're not against you, Sarah. We're trying to help you see how wrong your actions have been. But until you do, we have to protect Bryce. Emily, we're here for you. Use that money to make sure Bryce gets the justice he deserves. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Helen. This means so much to us. We will use it to protect Bryce and make sure he's never treated this way again. You're all going to regret this, mark my words. The only regret we have is not stopping this sooner, Sarah. It's time for you to change. We hope you learn from this, Sarah. We truly do. But we won't stand by and let you hurt our family anymore. Come on, Bryce. Jason, let's go home. Mom, are we going to be okay? Yes, Bryce, we are. We have Grandma and Grandpa on our side, and we'll be just fine. Stay strong, Emily. We'll always be here for you and Bryce. Take care. And remember, you're not alone in this. Sarah's face turned pale. I felt a mix of emotions. Part of me felt sad for Sarah, seeing her so desperate and realizing the gravity of what her actions had led to. But a larger part of me felt a sense of justice and relief. Finally, someone was standing up for Bryce and me, making sure Sarah couldn't hurt us anymore. I hugged Bryce tightly. This money meant we could finally take a stand and protect Bryce from Sarah's cruelty. The other guests at the party were whispering and staring, clearly shocked by what had happened. Some of them looked at Sarah with pity, while others looked at her with disgust. The room was silent, and the other guests watching the scene unfold with shocked expressions. I felt the weight of the envelope in my hands and knew this was a turning point. Jason and I gathered our things and gently guided Bryce's wheelchair towards the door. Jason walked beside me, his face serious. As we headed for the door, I felt a strange sense of peace. We were finally standing up to Sarah's bullying. As we got into the car, I looked back and saw Sarah still pleading with her parents. Her face was red and blotchy from crying, and she looked desperate. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her, but then I remembered the look on Bryce's face when she gave him that bowl of dog food, and my resolve hardened. We drove away from the party, leaving the chaos behind. Jason reached over and squeezed my hand, reassuring me that we would protect Bryce and ensure he was treated with respect. I felt a renewed sense of determination. With Robert and Helen's support, we would fight for Bryce's rights and ensure he was never treated so cruelly again. Sarah would finally face the consequences of her actions. In the car, I looked at Bryce, who was quietly staring out the window. I asked him if he was okay, and he turned to me and nodded. He thanked me for standing up for him. Tears filled my eyes, but this time they were tears of love and determination. We would always stand up for Bryce, no matter what. As we drove away, I felt a sense of hope. We had a long road ahead, but with the support of our family and the strength we had as a family, I knew we could face anything. The next few days were tough as we processed what happened, but with the envelope from Robert and Helen, we knew we had the support we needed to take action. We contacted a lawyer and filed a case against Sarah for discrimination and emotional distress. The lawyer explained that what Sarah did was not only morally wrong, but also illegal. We gathered evidence, including witness statements from the party guests who saw her give Bryce the dog food. Sarah was served with legal papers, and the case quickly gained attention. Given that I was part of a community of parents of disabled children, none of them were pleased to learn about Sarah's treatment of Bryce. In fact, they were outraged. They felt that such behavior was unacceptable and needed to be addressed. Most of all, they couldn't help but think about how they would feel if someone treated their child that way. They spread the word around as much as they could. And since we live in a relatively small town, the news spread fast and people started talking about it everywhere. At school, work, and even online. Sarah's reputation took a severe hit because her actions showed a lack of kindness and respect. The public backlash was strong. Many people decided to avoid her business, and her close friends and family distanced themselves from her. Of course, being the person that she is, Sarah could not resist the urge to blame me for her life situation. A week after Kenzie's party and her life going downhill, Sarah showed up at my doorstep angrier than I had ever seen her in my life. "Open this door right now, Emily." "What do you want, Sarah?" "I want you to give me my life back right this instant." "I have no idea what you're talking about." "You've taken away everything good that I've had in my life, my business, my friends, my family. Even my marriage is rocky right now, and it's all your fault." "My fault? How did you figure that one out? Why did you always need to upstage me in everything? You came into my life just to ruin it." "Sarah, I literally did not know you until Jason introduced me to your family. Why would I want to ruin your life like that anyway? That sounds exhausting." "Don't even bother lying to me. You don't have to play the saint now that it's only the two of us." "You just sound like you've lost your mind. You know what you did was very wrong, but you can't come to terms with it because your fragile yet enormous ego won't let you." "Stop it. Just get everyone to like me again." "I can't do that. You ruined your own reputation and life. So you are the only one that can fix it. How could you have possibly taken a joke this seriously? And my idiot brother also did nothing for me. Ugh, I miss the old days when Jason would do anything to keep me happy." First of all, what you said was not a joke. It was demeaning and insulting. Secondly, why would Jason stand up for you when you insulted his son? You deserve every ounce of hate and loneliness. You deserve to feel worse than what you made Bryce feel. Do not come here or try to contact either Jason or me until the verdict comes. Bye. It felt amazing to stand up to her that way. If anything, it made me determined to fight even harder to make Sarah pay. In court, Sarah tried to defend herself, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge ruled in our favor, recognizing the discrimination and emotional harm Sarah caused Bryce. She was ordered to pay a significant fine and undergo sensitivity training. Her business, which she was so desperate to save, suffered greatly as customers boycotted her shop. For Sarah, this was a harsh wake-up call. She lost much of her social standing and had to confront the reality of her actions. She tried to apologize to us, but the damage was done. We accepted her apology for the sake of family peace, but we knew we could never fully trust her again. Meanwhile, our lives began to improve. With the settlement money, we were able to provide Bryce with additional support and therapy. He joined a support group for kids with disabilities where he made new friends and gained confidence. Seeing him smile and laugh again filled our hearts with joy. Jason and I grew even closer through this ordeal. We realized how strong we were as a team, always putting Bryce first. Our bond with Robert and Helen also deepened. They were a constant source of love and support, proving that family can stand together even in the toughest times. Bryce thrived with the love and encouragement surrounding him. He excelled in school and discovered a passion for adaptive sports. Watching him achieve new milestones, we felt a sense of pride and relief. Though the road was difficult, we emerged stronger and more united. Sarah's actions led to consequences that changed our family dynamics, but we found a way to turn the pain into strength. Our family, despite the challenges, became a testament to resilience and unconditional love.